Good morning everyone and welcome. I'm at Manly this morning and I'm going to try and capture this scene of the morning sun over the bay, the entry and exit to the Manly Boat Harbour. I'm going sailing this afternoon out on this bay, so it should be, thought I'd jump down here early and try and get a painting done before I go sailing. So I've got a gallery opening in a month's time, so I thought I'd try and capture this to add to one of the galleries, so hopefully it turns out. So sorry about the wind there. I thought it best to not to do too much voiceover out on site because there's just so much wind noise in the microphone, and I didn't realise how windy a morning it actually was. My easel didn't blow over, but it was close at some stages throughout this session. Yeah, as you can see there, we are at Manly Harbour, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning now. I'm looking out towards Waterloo Bay, which is the gateway to the wider Moreton Bay region. So Manly Boat Harbour is one of the largest harbours in the southern hemisphere. It holds hundreds of boats, and there's several different clubs inside that harbour. So I'm actually I sail regularly down here on an etchel out of Manly Harbour. So this place has a lot of meaning and a lot of connection for me. And you know, driving down there in the morning, I get a picture of really what I want to try and achieve. And I know I missed the sunrise. Yes, I'm there at 6 o'clock in the morning, but sunrise was really at about 5. So it's just getting on, you know, as we get into spring. The sun just gets up so early in Brisbane, Queensland. So yeah, driving down, I knew I'd missed the really strong orangey warm sunrise, but I captured moments, as you can see there at the start. I captured moments of that, and that's really what I was trying to get, was this mood of a sunrise captured loosely. And I've been inspired recently by, you know, the Leon Holmes and Jill Banks from the US around using, you look at their plein air work and they use a lot of paint. So I had this kind of concept in my head of how I was going to pull the colour sets together and end up using fairly solid bits of chunky oil paint towards the end. I love texture and lots of paint anyway, but I was really trying to incorporate this. But in order to do that, you have to get your layers in place. So as you can see here, I've already started with a light wash over the Michael Harding non-absorbent acrylic primer, which is the beigey colour, or it's unbleached titanium is the colour. That's the base, and I've done that. I prep my panels with that all the time. And so I went over with the wash of, it's Aussie Red Gold actually, the Art Spectrum colour, which is very close. It's just a bit richer, sort of burnt sienna type. Sorry, not burnt sienna, yellow ochre. It's a little bit richer than that. So it did really have a beautiful match to the current sunrise. And that's what I really wanted to lay in quickly, is get those colours in quickly, because I knew it wasn't going to last long. I had probably an hour, half an hour at best, to get the raw colours in play that were going to highlight the morning light. bearings in the state. So those distant islands, there's one on the left called Green Island, and one on the right is not an island. It actually is a little tiny island called King Island that is connected to Wellington Point. So now I'm starting to load up more saturated morning colours. I really like to load up those clouds in the water and connect the composition with colour that wraps from the sky into the reflections in the water. Theoretically, it's a very, very similar colour and intensity on the water level as it is in the sky, because it's reflected light. It's maybe one value darker on the water level. So, but it gives you an indication of the type of colour similarities we're dealing with between the water and the sky. So I love how that brings that all together. So you can see here I'm putting some marks in just as a yacht exits. Actually, the only yacht that exits all morning. In fact, it's quite a cool morning, so I just thought I'd get that in when I saw it. Like with sunsets, sunrises are the same. You've really got to just capture those moments when they happen. So I knew that I had only a moment to get the yacht shape in my head, the silhouette, the mast height in relation to the horizon line. And so you see here now I'm wiping it out because I know I want it in that spot, but it doesn't have to be. I can come back in now that I've got a reference point and deal with that later. Also, when I put that first mark in for the red beacon, it was also bigger than what it actually really is. So, there's lots of adjustments, and I think this is what, if you're beginning plein air painting, you try and expect that you're going to get it right all the time, and you really spend a lot of time on different parts of the piece, really trying to nail bits. But I approach it more in a really push-pull type thing. I know I'm going to put a mark down, but then I'm often going to remove it as well because it may not actually work. And I got a little bit frustrated with this piece because there was a lot of that, and you tend to lose a bit of confidence if you're doing that too often, and if you're pushing paint around a piece, it can really look overworked if you keep doing that too much. So quite often you can see now I'm really starting to layer up the lighter colours on the board, on the water level. But yeah, you're better off sort of staying, or for me at least, staying with a bigger brush to keep you looser, and then really concentrate on value and composition, and then give yourself time in that last half an hour where you can come back and really try and pull the piece and highlight the piece how you want to highlight it. So you can see here now I've put that red beacon in, and it's looking a bit big in now, so I do end up scraping that out, I think, and doing it again. But now, back in with the boat mast, or the top of the mast. I was struggling here a little bit because some of this work needs a really fine hand, and because it was windy, the panel was blowing backwards and forwards. Again, it's just one of those things with plein air painting. Back in the, when I first started doing this, I'd be worried about it, but hey, you just roll with it. It's about being in the moment and capturing what you can in that moment. You're not always going to get a perfect piece. You just really want to try and capture the essence of why you were there. And you can see now in the background the light, the orangey morning sunrisey light has started to really disappear out of the atmosphere. So
but I've got those core colours down already in the piece. It's not how I want it to look necessarily, but I've got the essence. Yes, yeah, you can see me scraping out the beacon there. Yep, scrape a bit more out. So there was an element of frustration here. You know, I've got 2.5 hours odd to really work this piece. I started 6, finished around 9ish, and it's I just really wanted to keep working different components up and layering those bits up. So yeah, you can see here now I'm really working on reflected light and some of those cooler shadowy clouds that were on the horizon in the morning. So using a sort of magenta and ultramarine blue mix with some white, just those nice cool colours to match that the lighter magenta-y reddish sky. That it's a complements them, or it's you know, the same on the same side of the colour wheel if you like, but I'm just really keeping it nice, keeping a colour harmony between different elements of the painting. I knew I wanted to overemphasize the clouds, and look at that, you can see that sunlight behind the panel there. It did stay in there for a while, and amazing that light filtering through, so it was really giving me lots to work with. I have a limited palette that I use fairly regularly, and this is no exception here. It's ultramarine blue, it's a magenta, Algerian claret it's called. It's a Michael Harding product that's supposed to be more light fast than Algerian crimson. I've got Cad red, that Art Spectrum Aussie red gold, and then Cad yellow lemon, which is the light. I go for a mid-tone white. It's a Michael Harding, just a mid-tone, which I use occasionally to. It's better than white. I try to avoid mixing direct white straight in, and I also use the unbleached titanium as well in that same mix. So really, it's a primary palette, split primary palette they'd call it. So a warm and a cool of both. But I've only got a single blue. I don't use cobalt blue or cerulean blue or anything. So you can see now I'm starting to add that detail of the beacons. So the beacons break the horizontal lines up, so it still maintains the integrity of the scene because it's leading the user out of the scene. But at the moment it's still looking a little bit messy in that sort of compositional focal point. I'm not totally happy with how that's moving there. And you'll see I'll probably scrape it. Yeah, here's me drawing these highlights even more, nice and loose, but probably just not over, just a little bit now too contrived. So this is the pushing and pulling that goes on in my head, and the frustrating part. Some I leave, some I but it's just part of the design journey, if you like, the creative process. And I think if you are planning to paint loosely, you need to be prepared for that. That gameplay that goes on in your head around add, remove, add, subtract. See, this is now quite overdone, but that's okay. I've still got plenty of time to resolve how I wanted to resolve this. But it's a gameplay of colour, value, and maintaining that compositional structure. tell you a little bit more about my sailing. I've been sailing out of Manly for at least sort of 15, 16 years in a nutshell, and I'll show you an image of us racing up here so you can have a quick look at what I do out on the bay during summer on the weekends. And it's just such a great way to clear the head and just connect with people on the water. And you know, Moreton Bay is just such a gem of a place of Brisbane. If you get a chance to get to Brisbane, you know, we've got this Olympics coming up and there's lots of people will visit here, but make sure you get out onto the bay because it is just spectacular, and it's spectacular almost every weekend in summer. Can get a bit wild out there, but you know, I just love spending time out on the water out here, and I race competitively, and yeah, absolutely love it. So now I'm really thinking about the painting, which sounds strange, but I'm not really too concerned about the scene now. Obviously, you can see behind the panel there, my morning rich light has gone. There is nothing of that really in the scene anymore, so I have to really, I'm painting from my mind's eye. I'm working on different areas to either flatten the scene, if you like, so removing texture to give it a sense of distance and feel. You can see me rubbing out elements of textural mark making and then reapplying. See, I'm smoothing out areas, putting random brush strokes at various angles to break the eye. I'm trying to create a randomness out of man-made mark. So I need the piece to look like it's just arrived without man-made mark. That's my ultimate goal, I think, is just to let the piece create itself. But I find it very hard to do. So, and I'm not sure whether there's people that find that really easy without just chucking paint on. But to make a scene appear natural and connected and compositionally sound and all that, but make it look random, is my ultimate goal. And that's often very, very, very challenging. So, yeah, I'm still reworking, working. And now I'm really starting to, okay, what are my real highlights going to be? So I'm not using white, I'm staying away from pure white, but I'm building up those highlights now in that compositional area with solid light. So I'm mixing a little bit of Aussie red gold into white to get those highlights. There's some kayakers going out for the morning. There wasn't a lot of people stopping. I was a little bit off the beaten track here, so I wasn't in the main thoroughfare of walkers in the morning. So yeah, I only had a very small number of people stop and say hi. I always love interacting with people that want to have a chat and see my process or just watch. So, but yeah, this morning it was a bit cold there. You know, we're just on the entering into spring. So at 7:38, it was breezy. So there was some cool wind in the air, and there was a bit of rain on the way too later on in the day. So you can see me now putting use the edge of the I'm using the edge of the palette knife to get those marks in of the boat that's departing the harbour. Again, I'm really trying to be free with that, and you can see I place the mark, then I'll paint out bits to break the line, to break the the man-made look, if you like, and keep working it until my subconscious becomes actually happy with said result, and that can take a lot of time. So I'm just getting a little bit of edge, applying some highlight edges on some of those structures, the boat and the beacons. There you go. Starting to look like a boat now. I'm still at this point not happy with the water reflections. It's looking a bit overdone. Whilst the compositional focal point with the orange light on the water is there, it's too much. So I haven't probably, I think I'm about to scratch it out there and have another crack. So this is the thing, you've got to be brave at certain times to make decisions and get rid of paint if you need to get rid of it. Oil paint is, you just can't keep painting over it. There's got to be some separation there to build up layers in alla prima. So in the one painting session, the paint becomes very non-sticky. So you got to paint over the top of other paint and it just slides off. So you've got to keep that separation there to keep the colours maintaining their integrity without getting it too muddy. So it's a constant, if you're not happy with a particular area, you really do need to scrape it out. I'm not doing that here in this instance. So I'm getting some of the reflective light of the reds from the beacon into that initial stage. Again, it's too much at the moment, so I go back in and break it up and loosen that up. I just love the morning light. I'm an early riser, so I love getting up and seeing that sunrise. And I was up, at 4:30 on this morning. I live in West End in Brisbane, and the orange sunrise was so amazing. But I wasn't down at the bay at that time, so I had to settle for a later start. I had every intention of trying to make it down there. Okay, so see, with that big brush there, I am certainly smoothing out certain areas, but also breaking the line of some areas as well. So now I'm starting to get serious about, okay, what's really important here as far as reflected texture and light. So I've scraped out the main thing. I've got an alternative plan I'm going to do for an increase in how I'm going to approach that, and I think the result certainly turns out a hell of a lot better.